Welcome to this week's episode of the program. This is the Gavel. I am Benny Ark. The most recent plenary session of the House of Representatives highlighted motions addressing significant national matters, such as the Binance issues. Let's check out the report.
Citing breach of privilege, a member of the House drew attention to allegations of bribery made by cryptocurrency platform Binance. Binance had issued a statement that some unknown persons in Nigeria demanded huge payments in digital currency to make their problems in the country go away. In the statement, Binance had pointed out that its representatives were approached while leaving a public hearing with the House Committee on Financial Crimes sometime in March.
This House has never had a meeting with this person before. We have no interface with this person. And these persons woke up one morning and decide to degrade this House to the extent of saying we demanded bribe from them. I suggest that this House maybe invite this person to come and tell us whoever demanded this bribe from him, from this House.
It was quickly followed by a motion calling for the investigation of the escape of Binance executive Nadeem Anjarwalla from the custody of the Office of the National Security Advisor.
The escape of the Binance executive from the Office of the National Security Advisor using a smuggled passport is, to say the least, most disappointing, embarrassing, and disturbing as it portrays the porosity of the security architecture of the country to the world.
Another motion for urgent attention was the death of a 4-year-old boy, Miguel Ovoke, allegedly at Brick Hall School, Abuja.
Concerned about the traumatic effect of the sudden death of this little boy, Miguel Ovoke, on the family and that of the classmates. Right, obviously, we are further concerned about the negative image this act will leave on our country in the sympathy of nations if such is not addressed.
The House observed a moment of silence for the late Miguel and constituted a special committee to carry out the investigation.
May his soul rest in peace.
It was another day of urgent motions as members of the House of Representatives tried to adjust to the challenges of the newly renovated chamber, even as renovations continue.
The outcry in the society.
After stepping down a motion on the cybersecurity levy the previous day to allow the leadership of the House deliberate more on it, the minority leader presented a comprehensive motion calling for a halt and modification of the implementation of the cybersecurity levy contained in a circular by the central bank.
The House is further concerned that the words of the CBN circular leaves the CBN directive to multiple interpretations, including that the levy be paid by bank customers, that is Nigerians, against the letter and spirit of Section 44(2)A of the Act, which specified businesses that should be levied accordingly. The House is therefore called upon to resolve to direct the Central Bank of Nigeria to withdraw the ambiguous circular and issue an unequivocal circular in line with the letters and spirit of the law. Direct the House committees on banking regulations and banking and other auxiliary institutions to guide the Central Bank of Nigeria appropriately.
Next, the House considered and approved a motion mandating its Committee on Foreign Affairs to carry out a holistic investigation into the activities of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Missions.
The country has properties and assets across the world under various missions, many underutilized and several others abandoned, which, if properly audited and harnessed well, will enhance efficiency of our foreign services. In a lot of missions, local staff ceiling has been exceeded due to violation of rules, and in some instances, the ceiling of foreign service officers. This has further resulted in indebtedness in the respective missions.
In another motion, the attention of the House was drawn to a possible violation of the Procurement Act in the award of contracts for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road.
Aware that the procurement strategy adopted by the Federal Ministry of Works for the award of the contract violates the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission Act 2005. As Section 4 of the Act outlines that all approved infrastructure projects and contracts for financing, construction, and maintenance must be advertised for open competitive bid. in at least 3 national dailies.
The House mandated its committees on works and public procurement to investigate the matter and asked the Minister of Works, Finance, as well as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to avail the House with all supporting documents.
The House is disturbed.
Another motion for investigation before the House was on the urgent need to rejig the Niger Delta Power Holding Company.
The management of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company is proposing to designate the 252 megawatt open cycle power station as a construction site, thereby abandoning its primary responsibility of running it to the benefit of the state, the Niger Delta and the nation at large.
The House also resolved that the managing director of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company should appear before the Committee on Power to shed light on the state of the economy.
Lawmakers gathered for the second time in the recently renovated chamber, finished just last week. While some changes were made to the seating arrangements, not all lawmakers were pleased with the renovation, raising further issues.
Lawmakers converged for the second time on the newly renovated chamber since its completion last week. A reordering of the previous sitting arrangement was observed.
We need to change so many things.
But this move did not do much to satisfy some other lawmakers who still had issues with the renovation work.
You can all agree with me, especially those senators that have been here previously, that this is not a chamber. This looks more like a conference room. The audio is supposed to be very clear. Before, the seats were better. You have where you can put your document conveniently, make your contribution. But right now, the chamber is echoing.
If we have observations on inadequacies, we have to channel it to Federal Capital Development Authority for necessary corrections. I understand that they've even given a second phase, that is phase 2 of renovation of these chambers and the premises of the National Assembly. We shall discuss in future about the need for us to have proper autonomy.
Separately, a motion on the 10-year-old Abuja Centenary City project came to the fore. In his lead debate, Senator Yisa Oyelola, who sought its revival, recalled that the Modern City project launched in 2014 was designed to commemorate 100 years of Nigeria's amalgamation.
Reviving and completing Abuja Centenary City project will have immense benefits for Nigeria, including job creation, elevating Nigerian profile as an attractive investment destination for foreign investment, tourism and events, and overall national development.
If we do this and it takes off, it will be a big achievement to the 10th Senate. And by God's grace, if there is significant progress in that project, everybody will remember, or anybody that sees that project will also remember the 10th Senate.
As it is today, given the state of Nigerian economy, given the abysmal revenue base of Nigerian economy today, I don't think the federal government is in a position to inject any additional fund into that place. And in doing that, I also want to call on the Federal Ministry of Finance to put together a team of investment bankers worldwide. Most of these projects of this nature are driven by the private sector.
Is that a new policy?
The Senate then adopted a resolution to adopt an ad hoc committee for further investigation.
Set up an ad hoc committee to urgently investigate the factors impeding the completion of the Centenary City project in Abuja and recommend ways of reviving same. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3 urge the federal government to prioritize the revival of the Abuja Centenary City project by providing appropriate support, resolving regulatory issues, and addressing any other impediments.
Meanwhile, the Senate within the week considered the report on the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Amendment Bill.
In determination of drug-related cases, offences.
The chairman of the Joint Committee, Senator Tahiru Munguno, made his presentation on the need to strengthen the war against drugs. Some lawmakers outrightly expressed polarized views on the penalty for drug traffickers.
The objectives of the bill is: 1, it seeks to strengthen the operation of the agency, to empower the agency to establish laboratories for forensic review the penalty provision, and to enhance the power of the agency to prosecute drug-related offenses and issue subsidiary legislations.
Since we want to amend this law to be more effective, then the punishment should be harder. So I am proposing that instead of imprisonment for life, it should be to be sentenced to death.
It is time to call a spade a spade. If we want to eradicate drug trafficking in Nigeria, the only way to do that is to nip it from the board and to make it a capital offense.
The matter was then put to a voice vote. However, some lawmakers were displeased over what they described as a hasty passage.
Death sentence is not a matter for a, nay or nay. No, it cannot. We'll take a vote. It's a fundamental issue. We are making law here. This is not a motion.
Currently, offences punishable by death include armed robbery, murder, treason, conspiracy to treason, treachery, fabricating false evidence leading to the conviction to the death of an innocent person, aiding suicide of a child or lunatic, and under a Sharia law, adultery, rape, sodomy, incest, and witchcraft.
You will agree with me.
Earlier, the lawmaker crafted the process of reviewing the salaries, allowances, and benefits of judicial officers.
It is only fair that we make the job of the judicial officers very comfortable to avoid the temptations of bribes and rest of them, which may not be in the interest of dispensation of justice.
This is definitely a bold step and a step in the right direction. So those in support that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
The upper chamber has made a move to fast-track the process of protecting the rights of domestic workers. In a bill sponsored by Senator Hussaini Babangida Uba, lawmakers argue that a proper legislation would ensure that domestic workers are properly registered.
I think, sir, that whereas it is easy to point at the number of people who may have been victims of burglary or murder by their house help, it is almost impossible to imagine the number of Nigerians and non-Nigerians in Nigeria who have been abused, sexually harassed, and brutalized by individual employers in homes, and they have the country have no record of their existence.
As a Senate or as a National Assembly, if we can regulate this, it will also reduce all these cases where you see employers refusing to give the rights that's supposed to be given to these domestic workers. And their fundamental rights are always abused. So I think there will be need for us to look at it based on this bill and regulate it.
The bill skills second reading.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Gavel. Important national matters were discussed at length during this week's session in the House of Representatives, with particular emphasis on addressing diverse forms of insecurity plaguing the country. Let's check it out.
Multiple matters of urgent national importance were taken within the week in the House of Representatives, all bordering on various forms of insecurity across the country. After repeatedly holding moments of silence on killings across the country, members of the House of Representatives reacted to the grim reality of the state of the country's internal security.
This might be the fourth time that we will be observing 1 minute silence this morning. If you recall, in our last meeting, we were almost tagging our country, one Nigerian life, 1 minute silence. I think that we should look at all our resolution that has to do with insecurity, all the resolutions. Let us put them together and begin to ensure compliance with some of these resolutions. Because we arrive at resolutions day in, day out, and nothing happens.
This House must have a position paper from constituents, particularly in the security-prone areas, on the issue of employing or bringing back mercenaries to finish security issues in this country, so that investors can come in and invest.
Despite concerns around enforcement of House resolutions, the Speaker is hopeful that the planned Legislative Security Summit of the House will be impactful on the country's security challenges.
The responsibility of providing their welfare and security.
The House within the week considered and approved a motion on the worrying rate of kidnappings in schools across the country.
If no drastic measure is taken to curb this escalating insecurity situation in the country and in our schools, the entire schools may end up being shut down due to activities of these miscreants and hoodlums. The House is aware that government owes the people the responsibility of providing their welfare and security. So it is incumbent on the government to fulfill its obligation to the people in this regard. Mr. Speaker, the House is also aware that due to the directive of Mr. President and the relentless efforts of our security agencies, the school children who were victims of March 24 attack have long been united with their families, which is very commendable. But trauma and shocking experiences, they must have been true, will forever be in their minds and may likely give them that phobia of going to school again.
The House is also mandating schools to engage the services of private security outfits to complement the efforts of security agencies in securing the schools.
We had a conversation with Honorable Leke Abejide, who represents the Yagba East, Yagba West, Mokwa Moro Federal Constituency of Kogi State. He discussed the challenges in his constituency and his ambitious plans to bring about change. Here is the interview.
I started with empowerment. I started looking at the poorest of the poor. How can I uplift them? Because I discovered that some of them, with just maybe somebody have 30,000 naira, he will be able to establish little business. That is why I now discovered, let me go into empowerment. I started with that in 2019 December. And since then, it too has been ongoing. I came to year 2020, I did mega empowerment, whereby I empower most of the constituents across the 3 local governments in terms of giving them tools, mechanical tools, electrical tools, grinding machine, sewing machine, water pump, generator, clippers, hair dryer, and vehicles, uncountable number of vehicles for those that are into transportation business. And that is where I started from, which is I'm still doing. Even recently that as I went home, I still gave out vehicles to women so that they can be going to market, buy things and carry their goods, sell them. And I also provided, recently I did empowerment, do not mega one like the one I used to do before, because the time of mega one is usually end of the year. We give them tricycles. This tricycle is not the one that carry passengers. It's one they use to carry items from the farm. Then it can carry sand, tip on its own. So if you have one, it's about 2 million each. So if you have one, it means you can sustain your family. There's even a brother that has been finding it difficult every time he'll be sending messages to me. He was the first person I said this would give. They gave him, when I went home, he said now in a month he's able to save 60 to 70,000 after eating. So that means his son now is coming out of poverty a little. Starting from there, then roads. I decided that I want to open roads. There are some roads that have never been opened. They have been there for years. They look like footpaths. I brought bulldozers everywhere, just like you are seeing here now, though my own is not like I have FCT on. But I make sure I open all these roads, we bulldoze them, we grade them. Some we did surface dressing, some we did asphalt on them. And part of the one that we did asphalt on now, we just finished the one that the budget could do. That's about 8 kilometers thereabouts. There's another one, that one is surface dressing. That one is about 5 kilometers surface dressing. So, but we are not stopping there. I'm already planning that, God help me, in this my tenure, I want all these roads done. And thank God, this government of Paba, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is focusing on more on infrastructures. If you watch, even judging from Abuja, you will see how things are turning around. And that is what is going to replicate across all the 365 constituencies and 109 Central District. This, I can promise my people that before this first time around out, they should expect more from me in terms of road projects in my federal constituency. And education also was my priority. Ever before I came into government, I've been paying wide fees for the children. When I came, I discovered that most of our children are not paying. So I took it upon myself. I've been paying for them going 6 years now. Thank God this new governor that came, Governor Usman Ododo, came and paid the wide fees for the first time. You know, he's a new governor, but for the past 8 years they have not been paying, but he came and paid wide. So for public schools, I do pay for both public and private schools. So they didn't take care of the private school, but at least he has done something. He tried by paying public school. I paid the private schools this year. And that is how I have been doing and taking care of our people, especially the widows. Our programs for them on a yearly basis. In fact, because of the level of hunger now, very soon I'm coming out with a very wonderful program for them, because we must eliminate hunger in our land.
That concludes our program for this week. Your feedback is valued, so please don't hesitate to reach out via email at thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for joining us today. This is Benny Ark signing off. Take care and be well.